I've been looking forward to this day. We're almost at the end of season 1, not quite there yet, but I've been looking forward to this day. So welcome back to the Talent Whisperer. It's your host, Chipo Chedu. And today is a special day because I have one of my, I don't even know what you are. You're like my sister. You're my sister. You're my friend. You're my business partner. You're my de facto coach. You're just a lot of things to me. So I think this is going to be a special episode for me and for everybody who's watching. So just a bit of an intro before I get carried away. Today we're talking to Mary Mulenga Yamba Kazilimani. She's a holistic life coach and psychologist. She has spent the last decade helping people become the best version of their true selves. She is all about helping you balance. She is all about thriving in the different areas of your life, not just in one life. You always go on about just a holistic, balanced human being. I absolutely love it. Before becoming a coach, she had a successful career in finance and administration. Coach Mary, as people like to call her, is currently the founder, CEO of Resolutions Business Hub Limited. She's the lead coach and lead consultant at Mary Kazilimani Advisory, and she's also the board chair of Talent House Zambia Limited. Whoop, whoop. So yeah, welcome my business partner, my sister, my friend, my coach, Coach Mary. Welcome to the Talent Whisperer podcast.
I am so excited to be on your platform, Chipo. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
And thank you for the intro. That was very generous of you. As she said, sister, business partner, friend, coach, everything in one. We enjoy that.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to try to, I know you well, so I'm going to try and take a step back to ask you questions that, I might know, but I think people would like to know. And here on this podcast, we always like to go back to the beginning. We always like to go back to the start. You're the one who taught me that, to understand a person better, you go to their childhood, their inner child, when they were a kid. So we've been trying to do that just so we can connect the dots with most of our guests. So what were you like as a kid? I wasn't there.
You were not there?
I was not yet there. But what were you like as a kid? What did you constantly get praised for? And also, what did you get in trouble for?
That is such an interesting question, Chipo. Even I got shocked. I thought I knew who I was when I was a child until I asked somebody who used to spend a lot of time with me when I was younger.
Oh,
and I
wow.
was like, oh, okay. That's a bit different.
Yeah.
Because what I remember of myself being younger is very introverted. I spent a lot of time in my room creating stuff. That much. I spent a lot of time creating stuff. And when I say creating stuff, I would create stuff out of stuff that's already existing. Yeah, like I once tore down mom's curtains. And I was trying to sort of come up with a theme for my room. So I got some of the curtains. I covered them around a little waste bin, and everything was matching. And I was just like, voila! I've
like Sound of
something.
Music when she dressed.
Yes.
The Von Trapp children.
Exactly.
In
Yes. I was that child.
Yeah.
So I wasn't that child who had a lot of friends in the neighborhood when I was younger. I think my younger sister was the life of the party when it came to neighborhood friends. Yeah. So if you move into a new neighborhood, I would be that child who just, try and see what's in the home, where's everything sitting. But I didn't spend a lot of time like socializing and getting to know people. And for me, that's what I remember. I remember that part of me as a child, creating in my head, in the clouds. I've always been a dreamer, imagining a lot of things and so on.
Yeah.
So I took time to talk to one of my aunties who used to babysit me.
Yeah.
And she was just like, you talked a lot. You were always talking. And I was like, I don't remember that as a child. She was like, no, you were always talking and you had everything to say about everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like I was that child who just never stopped talking. And I was very honest. Like if mom and dad have gone away and I'm being babysat and something happens while they're not away, when they come back, they'll just be like, did anything happen? The people who'd be like babysitters would sort of keep some information, and I was just like, no, but this happened and that happened.
You were the squeal.
I was a squeal, yes.
You were the snitch.
So, they were just like, you never stopped talking. So that was very difficult for me to reconcile.
So do you think you were maybe a a talkative child, but as you grew older, like when your memory started forming, that's when you became introverted. So maybe she remembers the 6 below child that was always talking, and then maybe you start to remember after 6 when you became a lot more introverted.
I think so. And I think it's also just life and experiences. Because if I was talking like that as a child and at some point I became introverted, it was also, I think, me going into puberty, being aware of my body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being aware of people around me. So I don't know. For me, that took me within myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because it's never easy growing up.
Yeah.
And it's never growing. I think it's also not easy growing up in our culture sometimes.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of dynamics.
Yeah.
To things being reprimanded and doing things. And
Yeah.
Funnily enough, when you talk about some of the things that I got reprimanded for, it was my creative side. It was tearing up curtains to come and, to come up with a design of some sort. It was trying out new recipes.
I would get upset if I came and a child had told curtains. Now you understand. Sorry to interrupt, but I feel like one of the marks of my adulthood was going to Kamwala. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
Going to Kamwala with Alice to buy fabric to make curtains.
Yes.
I felt like now this is adulting.
This is adulting.
Now imagine a child comes to tear that down to make things for her room.
To make things for my room, not worrying
no
about the
you
cost
got in
and
trouble.
everything else.
Yeah.
So I got in trouble for that.
Yeah.
I got in trouble for being creative when it came to cooking because I was that child who wanted all the ingredients on the table before I started doing what I was doing. And it didn't matter to whether I was, frying something, roasting something, or baking.
It had to look like a cooking show.
I had to have all the ingredients. And they'll just be like, no, make do with what's there. And I'm just like, no, but there are no ingredients. So I got into trouble for that. So it was snitching, it was being creative. But what I didn't realize, I think once I grew up, I realized that being creative and making do with some of the things that I didn't have also just heightened my creativity.
Yeah.
It took it to a whole different level. I mean, there are recipes that I go through in the kitchen and I'm just like, did I make this? Like, I've seen this on these cooking shows and people charge so much for this kind of food kind of thing. So that also got me very creative. We made a lot of different recipes, making do with the ingredients that we had. So it wasn't all bad.
It wasn't all bad.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But that was me as a child.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you bring up an interesting theme that we haven't really explored on the podcast. And as you know, our podcast discusses, gifts and talents and people that are living out a fulfilled life, using their gifts and talents. And then you brought up puberty and how that kind of turned you, as an extroverted child, you started to introvert when you started going through puberty. And I'm just blown away right now because I'm like, you know what, this is something that hasn't come up, but I also feel there's a lot there. So I would like to also just see, and this is maybe you wearing a bit of your coaching hat and even just your experience. How much do you think puberty affects that kind of confidence or ability for people, especially I think young women, to lean into their gifts and talents? Because I know a lot of us experience a lot of changes during that time, and it's years of it. And it feels like after that you have to go into a journey of rediscovering yourself, and you never always fully go back to who you were before it started.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts around how puberty might affect how fully we lean into our gifts and talents and strengths and rediscover ourselves later on?
Well, my personal opinion is, even part of my professional opinion is that it's a huge, huge factor. It plays a very heavy role. And I think we have been underestimating it or underplaying it. Because, first of all, when you're going through puberty, you're very conscious of yourself.
Yeah.
You're conscious of your body. You're conscious your body's changing. Your hormones are changing. Smells are everything is changing. Everything is changing. Now, at that age, you're also at an age where there's a lot of body shaming, if I can call it that.
Yeah.
Or name calling.
Yeah.
For example, I love your legs, Chipo. You've got lovely, lovely long legs for you.
I have amazing legs.
She's got amazing legs.
You can't see, but one day.
One day you'll see them. But as a child, I bet you your legs were either used as a negative connotation. Yes. Skinny legs. Sticks.
Listen, they had a name. Like my name, Chipo, Chipo Chedu.
Yeah.
Chipo Chamalite. It was like the
really?
name, like, yeah, because of how skinny I was.
So that's and it's so funny that everybody gets body shamed, and I think we underestimate that kind of feedback into a child's life. And remember, you're at an age where your brain is, developing. You're soaking in everything that you're told. Mm-hmm. So if you're being told your legs, pochamalite, you're probably very conscious. I'm going to hide them. You're going to wear long skirts. You're going to wear trousers. Yeah. You're too tall. You're too skinny. You're too light. You're too dark.
Yeah.
Your chest is too large.
Yeah.
You don't have a chest.
Yeah.
So it's a whole lot of feedback that you're internalizing.
Yeah.
And that does shape how you look at yourself and your confidence levels. Mm-hmm. So you find that even as you come out of puberty, you are still left with the stigma of all the negative and disempowering names that you were referred to from a body type point of view. And you do get lost somewhere in there. Yeah. Your confidence gets lost. Mm-hmm. Some of your talents and gifts gets lost. Because remember, as creatives as well, when we're growing up, I don't know, sometimes being a creative was referred to as if you have upuba. Like, it's nonsense.
Or mungulu.
Or mungulu.
Yeah.
What are these things that you're doing? What are these things that you're interested in?
Yeah.
Like, at that time, there were careers that were very fashionable. So anything else that you're doing out of that was actually referred to as a negative connotation. Yeah. Now, if you have a creative gift, if you're part of your gift is being creative, at that point in your life, it is talked back to you as a negative, and you stop using it. You hide it. Yeah. You don't even want it to flourish. You don't want it to grow, and you completely, how did I stop talking? Yeah. I must have been told, ulalanda sana. Yeah. Yeah, you talk too much. Yeah. And then you're also snitching. Yeah. Like you stop snitching.
You tell the truth.
You tell the truth. But
always tell the truth.
But that is what happened. Yeah. But we went here, and this person bought us sweets. Yeah. I couldn't lie. Yeah. I couldn't lie. So once you go through that period of puberty of not being first of all, you're body conscious because of the names you've been called. Then you're also looking at your creative side that's going to be suppressed because society, we didn't really know what to do with creatives in those days. Yeah. All of us had to just toe the party line, like on a conveyor belt, and just become these people that everybody expected you to do. So it definitely does have a huge bearing on talents and gifts. Yeah. I had to rediscover my voice much later on in life. And not everybody gets to do that. I feel sometimes you can remain, repressed. Yeah. And you don't use the gifts that you were given because at some point you were told this is not good enough, this is useless, and all sorts of different words. So yeah, I rediscovered my voice because I talk. I get paid to talk. Yeah. And I don't know, if you've got a hidden gifts, go back to your childhood and just re-examine. And sometimes you can ask somebody who was caring for you, and they might have more insights and more clues to how gifted you are, or some of the talents, or some of the hobbies, or some of the things you enjoy doing as a child. So yeah, they do. It actually does have a bearing. Yeah. So Coach Mary, I think you need to start a podcast. I've been telling you this for years because I feel like we need to get some ladies around the table and just like go in on puberty and the things we lost during that period, and the things we're yet to rediscover, so that even as we raise girls or as people listen, they know that some things get lost during that time that need to get rediscovered later, and you don't neglect it. It's not just a part of you that you just let go, because there's some really good things I think that we lose during that time and we never recover. So let's make that happen. Definitely. Because otherwise we won't. We'll digress here. Yeah, so I can see us going because I was just about to add in something to say. Okay, no, you please add. Yeah. We go with the flow. I think apart from puberty, there's a lot of trauma that happens in a lot of people's childhoods, and there's different ranges of trauma. It can be loss of a parent. It can be abuse. It can be a whole lot of things. So, just... It's a lot to unpack. Yeah. And I do agree that all these things sort of compound and contribute to how you show up, how confident you feel about yourself. And if it's left unchecked, if you don't go for therapy, if it's not unpacked, it remains and it continues to harden and it continues to suppress and it continues to prevent you. It becomes a brick wall with some of the things that you want to achieve in life. I just wanted to put that in there, but I think that's a whole separate podcast.
Yeah.
When it comes to trauma.
We normally do have a question where we ask our guests about how their traumas might have affected, how their traumas might have been like a roadblock, a stumbling block to, discovering or living through their gifts. And I think everybody agrees that trauma is real. And trauma is a big reason why we don't see ourselves the way we should see ourselves. So I do think I just think there's a lot of there should be a lot of space and platforms for people that do work like you, because, the mental health conversation, the conversation about self-discovery, it's been around, but it's right now it's something that, we are all actively talking about, but no one really knows where to go. And also not everyone can afford getting help. So platforms where we talk about it, I think, and people can access this information for free, become very useful. So I very much agree with you that apart from puberty, there's definitely traumas that happen that block us from becoming our best selves. Yeah.
So let's. Okay. Podcast in the making.
Yes, podcast in the making.
The Talent Whisperer.
You heard it on the Talent Whisperer. We're gonna make it happen.
Yay!
So let's go to high school. I've heard stories about you in high school. You still have some of your high school friends, so your stories go all the way back to your Mpelembe days.
Yes.
And take us through grade 12. Grade 12, what were you hopeful for when you were in grade 12? When you were looking at, your future, on a few episodes back, we called it societies. When you're looking, because they used to say that, when you enter society, you used to wonder what this society is. So when you look at what you were hopeful for, what was young Mary dreaming about in 12th grade, and then the practical stuff after that, because after that, you have to go to university or to college. What was the process of applying? What did you want to do? Did you do what you wanted to do? Did you end up studying something else? How did that go? What were you hopeful for? And then how did it go?
Wow. It's loaded.
Let's talk.
It is loaded, because what I was hoping for just never happened. I think finishing grade 12, first of all, I was excited about working for some reason. I think I wanted a gap year of working, if that makes sense.
Yes.
That I was very sure about. I was just like, okay, I know I want to go to college, I want to go to uni, but I always looked at people who went to work and I was just like, how do I want to go to work, Just looking smart and so on and so on. It was just like, let's do this. So funny enough, after I finished grade 12, I actually worked for about a year.
Okay.
But what I was hoping for, I think for me, the career that really touched my heart at that time, I had many careers before what I did. I wanted to do hotel management and catering.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember traveling to Lusaka. There were application forms that were being offered by Evelyn Horn. And to my shock and horror, when I got to Evelyn Horn, there was a whole football field of us. And I was just like, so what's supposed to happen here? And all of us were supposed to fill in these forms. And it was just a lot of crazy. And I think looking back now, at that point, I think the people who were selected were already selected, because there were not a lot of spaces, for hotel management and catering at the time, when it was being offered. And I did fill in the form, but I also felt very confused. It was so disorderly, and went back home to the Copper Belt, and I sat there and I waited.
So you traveled particularly to apply for that?
Yes.
And then you found a football field full of people.
Confused young people who've just finished grade 12,
to apply,
not knowing whether they're going or coming.
And you felt, at that point, there was a sense of hopelessness, I guess. Am I even going to get in? If all of us are trying to get in.
It didn't make sense at all. And I think for me, the lack of order just told me that there's something wrong here. And I don't know if this is actually going to come to pass. And surely enough, got no response, got no phone call, got nothing.
Yeah.
So I let that go because for me, I was just like, I really, really want to do this. I love the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
I was so interested in it to the fact that even after I finished school, I think that was one of my first mini businesses. Remember, I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So my first business was actually interiors and exteriors, but that all comes together with the cooking, hospitality,
Yeah,
and so on
yeah.
and so on. So I was very, very interested in that. Before that, when I was a child,
Okay.
I remember I did want to work for Zambia Airways as a air hostess
Yeah.
because I love the travel part of it. I was just like, I want to go. I want to see
Yeah.
countries. And I love the uniform as well.
I saw a picture that was trending on Twitter the other day.
They had,
with
did
two-
you see that?
Ah, they looked
They looked
gorgeous.
lovely. And as
Yeah.
a kid, I was just like, I want to wear that uniform. I want to travel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was always about hospitality for me because, and at that time, I remember the comments coming from people around and elders. That's not a profession. It's a profession for some words that I can't use
Yeah.
on the podcast, but that was the connotation that was attached to the job, which was very sad because there are people who are very passionate about the hospitality industry and they,
Yeah.
you're gonna flourish
Yeah.
in what you're passionate about. So came back from Hivelingon, did a year working as a bank, at a bank, Finance Bank Kitwe. When it opened, we were the first ones.
Oh wow.
So that was very
Finance Bank
exciting.
felt like an old bank for me. So for you to be the first ones.
At that time, it was the bank. We
Yeah.
were the new trendy people on the block.
Gosh.
So that was very interesting.
Yeah.
And I worked in accounts opening.
Okay.
I loved it because it was meeting people every day. It
Yeah.
was having conversations.
Yeah.
Opening accounts for people, but just learn. I think for me, the people were just like I was so amazed every time they came through.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was my first job. Then lo and behold, having a conversation, obviously at home, like
What's next?
What's next? College, university. I didn't make it for university. So what happened is I went for a psychometric assessment. At that time it was ZCCM at Mutondo House.
So ZCCM had psychometric assessments for people that had finished high school.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what was it available for everyone? What would they tell you?
I think it was mainly available for people who were either going to Accountancy Training College, which was owned by ZCM at that time, or were leaving the country after doing their form.
Okay, so
6
it was
at
for
Mpalembe.
particularly like people going through that system.
Yes.
That ZCCM system.
Yes.
It's going to be hilarious because there are people who will watch this who have no idea what ZCCM is.
Oh, okay.
And I'll advise you to Google because we have no
Yes.
time to explain.
No.
But ZCCM was ZCCM.
Yes, ZCM was ZCCM.
Yeah.
The mining conglomerate at
Yeah,
that time.
at that time.
I also wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Yes, I wanted to be a lawyer. So if hotel management and catering didn't happen, I was like, I'm going to do law. And I loved law because even when I went to accounting school, one of the things that I enjoyed was law, especially contract law.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I wasn't going to, no defending criminals, no. All I wanted to do was contract law. I'd probably call commercial law.
Commercial law.
Yeah, if I'd taken that route.
So at this point, you didn't get into the universities, UNZA, CBU.
Yeah.
You go and do your psychometric assessment.
Yes.
And did they give you the results or did they hand them straight to your parents?
They handed them straight to my dad. And what the psychometric test did bring out was, yes, I could do marketing, I could do law, I could do the social sciences because that's who I was.
Yeah.
And accounting, they were like, she can do accounting, but she'll have to put in extra work. Like, I don't think she'll enjoy that much. She's not made for that. Not that she can't do it.
Yeah.
But she can still do it. So this was a conversation between and my dad.
Yeah, so between
I
the
was
person who was testing and your dad. So you were not even a party.
No, I was not part of the conversation.
Yeah.
As the tested, I was just hearing.
As the specimen.
As a specimen. And I was just like, okay, cool. And I think I left there saying, obviously, there will be other avenues, to look at since I wasn't going to enjoy accounting.
Yeah.
And so on. So went home, forgot about that in a week or two time. And then I was just told to pack my bags. And it was time to go to college. And I was just like, wow.
This is how it happens.
This is how it happened.
Shipped off to do
accounting. That is how I was shipped off. And that is how I became an accountant.
That's a good story.
Yes.
But it also sounds like at the time, I'm sure even like the parents were doing what they obviously
best
thought
that they
was the
thought,
best for
yes.
you. Yeah. Because what is a psychometric assessment anyway?
You know what?
You know?
She can do it. They
She
say that she can
They
do
said
it.
she just needs to
She
study.
just needs to put in
yes,
work.
just needs to work harder. Yeah.
So what happened when you went to Chingola School of Accounts? You studied, I think it was a 2-year A-level program that was condensed into 9 months. So it was very vigorous and it was very competitive as well. So a lot of people did different routes. There are people who took the ACCA route, took CIMA, AAT, but that depended on how you did with exams and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be the equivalent of ZIAL.
Yeah.
The lawyers should not shoot me.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll edit it out. We won't.
It was just very, very competitive.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually make the cut. So what I decided to do is I decided to take the technician route, AAT, which was accounting technician. Because at that point, I did know that I was not going to actually want to go on and do ACCA or CIMA.
Yeah.
I was very clear.
Like you knew. Yeah.
And I rebelled.
Yeah.
So I went back and started work as an accounting technician. So that's what I qualified in. So at that point, I'd already sort of started making decisions that I thought were me against all odds, which was not also a popular thing. Like I should have, if I'd continued, I'm sure I would have gone on and finished my ACC and my CIMA.
Yeah.
But at that
point, you were like,
I was just like, no, I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah,
it's not. I wasn't enjoying it. But I did have accounting roles. For work. And I think I was lucky in the sense that every role I got was a finance and admin role. So it wasn't pure accounting. So I enjoyed sort of the best of both worlds, if you can put it like that.
Yeah.
So that was my career.
Okay.
up to
the coaching. So let's go there. So like you start off as an accountant, and then you later pivot, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when you came and said you had studied to be a life coach, like you had gotten the certification. I particularly was very excited because it sounded really cool.
Yeah.
But I know there was a lot of sensitization that you had to do for the people around you because 14 years ago, this wasn't a thing.
No,
now you see a coach. We don't have enough, but you still see more coaches than we had all those years ago. But at the time, we're seeing the rise of the preacher, the motivational speaker, but we hadn't seen coaching become a thing, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, how did you discover that career was for you? Like, how did you come across coaching and then make the decision that this is what I'm going to do? And then what led you to just boldly pursue it and come back and start to champion or to start to just educate people about coaching and, make an actual, like you've actually made a career out of it because it wasn't existing. To get people to pay you today has not been an easy feat because it's something that people didn't know about, right? So let's go back to the decision and then becoming a coach and then coming back and pioneering, like that story.
It is such an interesting story. I think there should be room for us multi-potentialized to just hook up and get to debunk some of the things that we've gone through. I think, first of all, my biggest takeaway, even with starting with accounting, is no qualification is never a waste. Like, regardless of where you started from and what you started with, everything is of value. There's a part of me that is a lot about order. I'm sure people know about my famous spreadsheets. I am that person in the family. I
feel like I'm surrounded by people who like spreadsheets.
Yes.
For someone who doesn't like spreadsheets, I'm surrounded by people who like spreadsheets.
I like to be organized.
Yeah.
I like to plan. I like to budget. I like to keep files, keep records, keep accounts. So I'm a creative accountant. And I still believe that it was not a mistake for me to start with accounting. It brings a lot of structure to who I am today and the work that I do. Remember, I was a floaty.
Yeah.
Floaty.
Yeah. You were floating.
I was floaty
and
creative.
Playing Sound of Music.
And yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what my life would have been if I hadn't started with a career that is very, very grounding. It's very black and white as well. And I did enjoy my roles. Now, I have established that starting with accounting was the best thing ever. It has not always been like that. I had to reconcile how I felt, starting somewhere else and then pivoting later.
Okay.
Yeah. But everything that you start with is of value. So never discard. It doesn't matter if it's a certificate, it's a diploma, whatever it is that you've done. You have to find a way of it working for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't just discard it and don't have any negative feelings towards it. Reconcile how you feel about it and just get on and do the next thing. So I worked as an accountant, full-time accounting work. I think my last job was in a non-profit organization. And it came at a time when I think there was a lot of mischief, or there was a lot of sad stories in the NGO world concerning donor monies. So the time I was starting work, there was a lot of controls that were put in place on how we needed to administer this money. There was a lot of transparency that was regarded as well. There was the projects that we're doing. So it also made work very detailed. And unfortunately, with NGOs, it's very lean when it comes to work stuff, because you can't afford to have so many, people working in the NGO. So you find that you have to make do, with the skills that you have. So work started getting really, really stressful. Because if, for example, I had 5 different donors giving to different projects, each donor at that time required that they had their own bank account. They also wanted you to do forensic accounting apart from your normal management accounting every month. They also wanted you to send the proof of the bank statement that you have not been dipping into their money and putting it back. So it became a lot of admin. And I think at that time when I was working, I must have had some like 12 different bank accounts that I needed to reconcile, both in local currency, which is the kwacha, and then in dollar and in euro.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of long hours in the office. And what I didn't see happening is my stress level started to build up. I was getting a lot of burnout, and I got to the point where it was becoming unhealthy. I made a decision, but that was coupled with something else that was happening in my life, to just say, this is where I'm ending. Being an accountant, I'm retired. In fact, I called it retirement from full-time accounting work.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was coming after.
But you just knew that this was it.
I just knew that this was
Yeah.
it. In fact, I knew this was it when I nearly had an accident on the road, because I'd been working 3 days straight.
Wow.
On a document that had a deadline. I was on coffee. I didn't realize I wasn't eating.
Yeah.
I was in the office up to midnight. Went home, back in the office at 6 a.m. 2-3 days, until I nearly, first of all, crashed into a wall, because I was just, my brain was not able to take the stress.
Yeah.
And until I nearly bumped onto somebody on the road.
Oh, wow.
Then I knew that, that
then you knew something had to change.
Something had to change. This is not okay.
Yeah.
It's getting unhealthy, and it's not sustainable as well.
Yeah.
So as much as I loved my job, that was one of the reasons I decided to retire from full-time employment. That was 2007. And there was also something else that was happening in the background that also, compelled me to make that decision.
Yeah.
So I walked away without a plan. Chimbwino plan, as we usually say. I didn't know what was going to happen next.
But you knew it was over.
I knew it was over.
But what was the feeling? What was that feeling? Were you feeling lost? Were you feeling relieved? When you stopped work, because you're not the first person I've heard who stopped work without a plan. But when you stop work without a plan, like how do you feel as someone who worked since you were a teenager?
Yeah.
What was that feeling like?
I think it was relief. Stopping work was relief, because I think what I also didn't realize is I was becoming dissatisfied within myself. Nothing to do with the job, nothing to do with my boss. I had a lovely, lovely boss. I had lovely workmates. But there was something inside of me that was not getting the satisfaction. And I was just like, no, I need to explore. Because as much as I love doing this, I don't think this is what I should be doing for the rest of my life. It doesn't feel, it's not filling that gap anymore. So when I finally, said I'm no longer doing this, I felt relief. A lot of relief, actually. And I wasn't in a hurry to go to do the next thing. What I told myself is I was just going to sit there. I was going to explore. I was just not going to do anything. I think nowadays we refer to it as sitting in it. I know
Sitting
sometimes
in it.
when we have conversations and
Yeah.
we're going through
You
stuff,
just sat in it.
I'm just like, girl, I'm gonna just sit in it.
Yeah.
So I guess at that time, what I did is I just sat in it. I sat in it for a year, 2 years. Then I found myself obviously in a different geographical location from where I was. And I made friends there. I used to hang out with I would call her my sister from another mother because her mother was Zambian, but her dad was Nigerian. I used to hang out with them a lot. I used to hang out with my Kenyan sisters and my South African sisters. And when you're also, when you've relocated and you're a supporting spouse in a foreign country, so you're not able to get work formally.
You can't get work.
Yeah, you can't get work. So one day she comes up to me and says, you're always talking about, trying to get into a space where you're able to, work with people or help people. I think there's something that's happening and maybe you would be interested to go. And I was just like, so what is this thing? She says life coaching. I said, I've never heard of that. What is that? Well, she couldn't explain herself because she was just like, I've got a vague idea, but you know what? Let's go and see what this thing is about. So I go to this, it was like a tester where you have a few presenters talking about what life coaching was. And it was being hosted by a life coach in Nigeria and one of the one of the first life coaches in Nigeria as well. And I was just like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And so we got to this place. You were allowed to sit and wait for the presentation to start. But what happened for me is immediately I got there, my friend took me straight to this famous coach called Coach Lanre. So she introduced me and said, oh, this is my friend. She's from Zambia. She's just coming to Lagos and she's not very sure about what she wants to do, but she knows she wants to do something to do with people. And I had a 5-minute conversation with Lanre. 5 minutes. And at the end of those 5 minutes, I was convinced. Done.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to sit in the tester to listen to what they were going to say.
You knew.
This is it. Because the way he explained it just resonated with me. I was just like, this is not HR.
Yeah.
It's not personnel, for lack of a better word, but this is coaching. And the way he's broken it down, I think this is what I've been looking for. And at that point, I'm just like, signed on.
Sign me up.
I am I'm signing up for coaching school because they were asking for people who wanted to do coaching also, and that is how I signed up for coaching.
Interesting.
I have never looked back.
Never looked back.
5-minute conversation.
And you knew.
I knew.
Was it something in your gut? Like, was it in your?
In my gut.
It was something in your gut.
It was something in my gut, and I knew this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
With pure clarity.
So one of the things I've come to learn, because I obviously being around you who's a coach, and you're my coach de facto, but I also have a coach. And yes, I've come to learn that there are different types of coaches.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And everyone kind of finds their niche. And I know people try to be a one-man fixes all, but it's rare. People find different areas. So what's your thing?
Wow. For me, coaching is a calling. It's not even just a profession. Yeah, it can be a profession, but for me, it's a calling.
Yeah.
I'm a holistic coach.
Yeah.
And I think that also just makes me a master in the different areas. It's not just one area. I know it is rare, but yes.
But you're rare.
I am rare. Unicorn rare.
Yes. Love it.
And everything that I have done in my life, the profession that I started with, everything comes together when from a holistic point of view. And the funny thing is that is the message that I have, not just as a coach, even before I became a coach, when I would have conversations with people or people would come to me to solicit that. I think I used to be an agony aunt at some point.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
You remember that,
You'd
right?
be on the phone for hours.
Yes, they would always...
And then someone else would call, then someone would come.
Yes, so the clues were always there.
The clues were always there.
Yeah, and even at that time, my message and my feedback to anybody who ever solicited advice from me was the holistic approach.
Yeah.
You have to move at the same level. You've got your career, you've got your family, you've got other relationships, you've got hobbies, you've got passions, and so on and so on. That has been my message. So I'm not surprised that at the end of the day, yes, leadership coaching is something that I'm passionate about, because I also feel there's a lot that needs to be done in that space. We are preparing leaders, for the next generation and so on. We've seen the shortfalls that have been there in terms of leadership. But at the core of my heart is holistic coaching. It's that balance. It's you're a whole human being. I cannot separate the toe from the head, Chipo. So if you want to bring your head, I'll just be like, I'll refer you to another coach.
Yeah.
With me, we're gonna go everywhere, and that's a conversation I have with my 2B coaches to say, I go everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
That's
just
my
not dealing
style. No.
with your head. We're
No.
gonna
The toe, the
deal with the
finger.
toe as
Yeah,
well.
we're gonna go there.
So that's why you call yourself a holistic coach,
Holistic
because you look
coach.
at the different parts of everybody's life.
Yes.
I love that.
And just to bring
Yeah.
synergy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Synergy.
Yeah.
Where the different parts are working together.
Yes.
That's
As it
cool.
is meant to be.
As it is meant to be.
Yeah.
And okay, so if we sum up, you have had your accounting background, you knew you were a people person. There's the creativity, you've done interiors, you love cooking, you love beautiful spaces, you love beautiful things. I know this because we have that in common,
Yes.
How would you sum up your gifts or gifts? How would you describe the gifts and talents that you have?
Wow. That is, I don't even know how I can break that down.
Let's try.
Let's
do
try.
it.
Let's try. First of all, yes, I'm a holistic life coach, and I've said for me, life coaching is a calling. So I'm very intuitive as well. One of the gifts that I bring to humanity is inspiration, intuitive inspiration. Now, it shows up in everything that I do. And a lot of the intuition comes from conversations that I have, and conversations help me help people sort of connect the dots.
Yeah.
Remember, we're talking about from childhood to, I'm one of
Yeah.
those, like when we meet, I just want to have a conversation with you, and in that conversation I'll be able to pick certain things. I can connect, and then I can see some of the reasons to why somebody is the way they are. But it's interesting when my coaches or my clients realize that. So one of my gifts is helping people to connect the dots on their journey of life.
Gosh, I love it. Yeah.
When we're having conversations, those are sometimes I was just like, Chipo, do you remember?
Oh, you do that all the time.
And Chipo's just like, I don't even remember. I said, no, you said this.
You never
told me
forget
about
a
this
scene.
dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is why this is happening. It's because of that. So I'm able to I just connect the dots. I don't know how that happens,
Yeah.
but it just happens.
Yeah.
So
You're very good at that. There's times
that's
I'm
just
telling you
me.
something and you're just like, this is a pattern. Or this has happened before.
Yeah.
This is how this is showing up. Or do you remember that thing that you did? Like, you
Yeah.
are actually very good at
Yeah.
that. I'm glad I get it for free. But like,
Yes. Just connecting the dots.
You're so good at connecting the dots.
So when you connect the dots, it enables you to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Because all of us have got so much potential. But as I say, there are things that hold us back from attaining the potential that we have, or for being the best self that we have. So when you help somebody connect the dots, they're able to raise their awareness on certain things that are limiting them. And they're able to either choose to deal with them or to avoid them. I mean, the choice is yours. So when you help people connect dots, it also helps them get to a better place, but it also helps to unleash their potential. And they become a better version of themselves on this journey called life.
So your gift is connecting the dots.
Yes.
I learned you were a witness to so it will be a couple of episodes back.
Yes.
When I accidentally got coached on an episode.
That was so
by
funny.
your coach.
Yes.
And when he mentioned just simplifying your gift, I think even for you, like it's the ability to connect the dots for yourself and for others.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Love it.
That's awesome, because I think we need that, because we forget, and it's not just connecting because of trauma. It's also your awesomeness.
Yes.
Your ability to connect the dots that leads to your awesomeness, or that leads to more like signs, like, oh, there's your gift. There's like what you need to change. There's what you need to do next. So do you think you're special?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yes.
Nobody's got my fingerprint.
No one.
My
actually.
eye, retina scan, my ear print. Like, how can I not be special?
How can you not be special?
Life happens. You have to toot it for yourself, eh?
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that that make us feel like we're not special.
Yes.
And I know I answered with such, courage and inspiration.
Yes, I loved it.
It has not always been like that. If you had asked me that in different stages of my life, I would have answered differently. I have had to work to where it has gotten to now, where I'm just like, you know what, I'm special. I am special, and nobody is going to tell me any different.
Yes.
With all the challenges of puberty, with all the experiences that you've had in life, with all the setbacks, the setups, negative, disempowering words over your life, like with all that, special.
Still special.
Fingerprint, one.
Fingerprint, eye retina item, ear print, still one.
Still one.
Yeah.
DNA,
still one. One of one.
How can you be special?
Only one.
Only one.
Alien superstar.
Limited edition.
Yeah. So a lot of people advise you not to work with family. You hear so many horror stories about working with family members. And you and I have been like business partners. We collaborate so much for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's not that we just do business. We just do like everything.
We do life.
We do life together.
We do life.
We do life together.
We do life together.
And we've failed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We've lost money.
Yeah.
We've had like big L's.
Yes.
And we've had successes, And you're my older sister.
Yeah.
So, and obviously you're someone that I look up to. So, like, what do you think about our relationship makes business and life work at the same time? Because most of the times people will part because of failures.
Yeah.
They're hard to digest. How come we're able to digest failures together? We're able to digest wins together, and we're still able to just do life together. What is your, as the woke coach and my sister, what's your theory as to how we are able to work together?
Okay, first of all, business is not something that you should get in lightly, I think, with family members, because as Chipo says, there's been so many horror stories. But from my personal, point of view, doing business with you or doing business with a family member and making it work there've been few pillars, I think, that that have been very instrumental. I think the first one is mutual respect. Mutual respect for you, mutual respect for the talent and the gift that you bring to the table. Because there's no way you're going to have a business partner who you do life with without that being there. And we're not talking about age, This is respecting somebody you're going to do business with. So mutual respect is very important. Just for you as a person, not just for you as a person, but for you and the things that you bring to the table. We're very similar, and yet we have differences.
And yet we're different.
Yes.
Yeah.
So similarity, we're just like high five.
Yes.
For our differences, we look at them as strategic strength on the table. So for me, I think that's the first one.
Yeah. Mutual respect.
Mutual respect. Yeah. Not just for you as a person, but for what
I bring to the table. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That goes both ways.
Yeah.
That has always been there between you and me.
Yeah.
From way back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing life, doing businesses, whatever it is, mutual respect has always been there. And as I say, it's not about age. Humanity commands that you respect other people, irregardless of who they are, what color they are, what titles they carry. Another human being is another human being, God made in God's image.
Amen.
Respect.
Yeah.
Ubuntu. That's very important. I think the second thing I'll talk about is core values.
Core values.
Core values. I mean, we have general values as individuals, but I also feel that our core values are very aligned. Very, very aligned. When you talk about transparency, authenticity, and those are non-negotiables for us.
Those are some of my big values as well. Yeah.
And for me as well. Yeah. So you find that if you're doing business with a family member, and it doesn't have to be a family member, it can be anybody else. It can be anyone. There are those things that they really need to align, especially if you're in a long-term relationship where business is concerned and you're doing life together. So for me, we have got core values that are similar. I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but maybe your number 1 is my number 3.
Yes.
My number 3 is your number 5.
But there's alignment.
There's alignment. Big ones. The big ones, the non-negotiables. Because remember, we've got core values, and then we've got just general values going down the ladder.
Maybe let's explain that a little. Let's not use this language pretending everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Let's explain core values, non-negotiables versus your other values. Like, what are those things? And maybe we can use you as a guinea pig.
Yes.
And yeah, so let's use you. What are your core values? And then what are your other values? So what are your core values, which are your non-negotiables, I'm assuming? And then what are your other values?
For me, and this is not just in the business partner, I think it extends to how I relate within the world.
Yeah.
I'm very high on authenticity. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Me and Chipo are always saying, sometimes I'll get a message from somebody saying, "Oh, I saw you at this so and so a place." I was just like, "You could have come and said hi."
Yeah.
No, you were with some people, you're having some wine. I'm just like, that's who we are. We enjoy our wine. I'm recovering from a flu, so team tea. But even then, I'll have 1 or 2 glasses, and I want to have my tea with some cake, and they're always laughing at me like,
the
"This is
weirdest thing.
cake."
Always killing the vibe.
Yeah.
Always killing the vibe by having cake.
What you see is what you get. We're who we are. That I think that for me that's a high value. So it's how I live my everyday life. I value people who are authentic, and we also have very real conversations. We go there. So authenticity, it spreads. It's not just how you show up. It's how you also connect to other people.
Yeah.
If I'm having a conversation with you, I'll have that conversation with you. It will be deep. There's confidentiality, I think, is also one of our high values, because I'm a coach as well. So some of my work is protected under client coach, privilege.
Yeah.
So that's also a big one for us. Like, there are things that we meet and talk about, but it's never, what can I say? Just general gossip and negative energy.
Yeah.
We don't do that. So if you look at some of our core values, it's how you live your life every day.
Yeah.
It's how you also engage with the world. So I've talked about, authenticity,
confidentiality.
Yeah. The other one is self-development.
Yes, growth.
We are so high on growth. Like, I'm learning every single day, and I'm probably not going to stop learning. I did a whole 360 with my career, and even now I continue to learn.
Yeah.
From life coaching, I added on psychology because I felt like, I want to service my clients better. And there was a gap that I was feeling in the work that I was doing. So I added on psychology, and there are a lot of other things that I still want to add on. For my own, personal growth.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, self-development is how you unpack who you are. Remember, we talked about traumas. We talked about all those things. So apart from just learning and education, the other part of self-development is just unpacking yourself.
Becoming more of yourself.
Whether if it takes therapy, whatever it takes, just becoming. So that's also a very high value that we have.
It is.
We want to be better than we were yesterday.
Yes.
And this is not about competing with other people. It's about competing with your best self.
Yeah.
I would compete with my best self yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, how have I shown up today? If I did something yesterday that I wasn't happy about, I'm going to say, you know what I did yesterday, I let myself down a bit. Yeah. So tomorrow, I'm going to show up better.
Yeah.
I'm going to put in more effort in ABCD. I'm going to do ABCD. So that kind of self-development energy, I think, for me, is also part of my core values. So values is your everyday living.
Yes.
It's the things that you are not going to cower about, things that you're not going to apologize about, things that you're not going to just let loose. They are not going to come and break my non-negotiable.
Yes.
And this is with everything. Yeah. It's with family members, it's with friends, it's with clients as well. Yeah. Sometimes we've had to let go of some clients in the past, Chipo.
Oh gosh.
That we won't go into details.
No. But some of you are problematic. No, but it's true. And it comes down to values, because there are people that, and it's not in a judgmental way.
No, it isn't.
But it's where someone is about something that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They are not what they say they are. Integrity is an issue.
Integrity is one of our values as well.
You have to choose if you're going to want to work with that person. Yes.
Because people be having private agendas. I mean,
all the time.
We've done in the past. There are some collaborations that we've done.
Yeah.
And sometimes you find that people have their own hidden agendas.
Yeah.
On top of the agenda, and we're very transparent, when we connect with other people, when we collaborate. So sometimes it becomes very difficult to do work and to connect with others, especially when some of the values are not in sync. So I think for me, the encouraging thing is if you're not sure about what your values are, I think just look at the things that you're passionate about, things that make you as a person, and then you need to extend that to everybody. And when you also define your values, you may lose some people along the way.
You do.
And even that
It's
is
not
okay.
even may. Like if you don't have your values defined and then you start to define them, people will fall off.
Yeah. Because that's what you value.
Yeah.
And you cannot go against your own values, because that also creates a discomfort within yourself. And in relationship, it's the same. I know relationship is a hot topic.
Always.
And one of the biggest issues that causes
Always.
conflicts in relationship is values.
Yeah.
Core values not being aligned. And as I said, they don't have to be the exact number. If my core value is education or self-development, as I said, then it's my number 2. And I enter into a relationship with somebody whose core value is number 50. Chances are, every day
is too big.
Challenges and arguments is going to be based on these values that are
not aligned.
They're not aligned. Because for me, it's core. For somebody else, it's
number 50.
It's like number 50.
It's like a nice to have, but it's not like a
No, it's not really nice to have. It doesn't even come into the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you define your values, you also define the world that you live in. You define your relationship. You define the kind of place you want to work in.
Let's not even go there.
We're not going to go there and podcast for another day.
Yeah.
There are people who have ended up, leaving work because their values are in conflict with their own personal values. So even when you're looking for work, I think sometimes do a bit of homework. What kind of environment? What's the culture? What values do they hold? And align.
Are they aligned with yours?
So it's not discrimination per se. I think it's also just that as human beings, there are things that we are very passionate about, and there are things that make us. Values do make us. We have values that are inherited from where we're coming from. And as you grow older, you also start to sort of form your own values going forward. So it's a combination of different things. There's some values that become a cake with time. It's okay to let go of a value. It's okay to change a value.
And learn a new one.
And learn a new one, especially when it is going to take you to where you want to go.
Yeah.
So, bad values. We digressed on values. But
but necessary. Values is important because values, like you said, it aligns in your friendships, it just creates more harmony. So I think it's an important conversation to have. So I know we digressed, but it was really key.
It was really key. And just to end off, I think just to cement that, it doesn't mean that every time you need to go into a working or business relationship, all these boxes need to tick.
No,
Some people do one-off business transactions. Which does not need all this conversation about values and so on. It's one transaction. Our overall goal is to make money.
It's a deal.
It's a deal. So values aligned or not, it doesn't matter. We're just aligning on this one transaction. It's a transactional relationship. That is fine. The reason I went into values and everything is because me and Chipo are not only business, partners. We are life partners. We do life together. So for us, those things need to align.
So there has to be an alignment.
So examine what kind of business you want to do. What kind of business you're setting up. What does that mean?
How long you want to work with these
How
people?
long you want to work with the person? Is there one-off transaction? Is it based on some project? When the project finishes, you all go your separate ways? Or are you doing life together like me and Chipo? Me and Chipo do life. So our requirements, I think,
are different.
Different. Yes. But I hope that answers your question on how...
It does.
Yeah, because as you say, we've been through a lot with our businesses. When you go through failure and lose money, it's very easy to just be like, I'm taking you to court.
And
we're suing each other. It was your fault. It was this one's fault. But when your values are aligned and you're working towards the same goal, that doesn't come up. You
don't point fingers.
No, you don't.
You reflect and resolve and move on.
And we move on. And we've moved on.
And we have.
In the different businesses.
And I think we're doing okay.
We're doing fine, girl. We're doing girl. We're doing fine.
Okay. So, gosh, everybody's been lecturing me on time. I've heard your feedback that, But, I'm going to ask one question, then we're going to try and wrap up. So, we always talk about intentionality, being intentional. What are you turned 50 a couple of years ago. And you were so excited to turn 50. I loved it. You know, when you were turning 50 and your excitement to turn 50, I looked forward. I was like, this aging thing, why are we so like nervous about it? It looks great,
Fantastic.
So you then just went into this intentional season, your golden jubilee, you've been living life, you've been like flourishing, just intentional about everything. So what are some of the things in this season you're super intentional about? And what are some of the things that Coach Mary is yet to achieve?
Yet to achieve so many things.
So many things.
So many things.
I love it.
And someone would look at you and think, yeah, you turned 50, like, I think it's 50 plus 2. Yeah. But, well.
50 and a cuppa.
And it's just like you're saying that they are so, believe you me, the day you stop breathing is the day that you stop wanting to achieve, or the day you stop making these big goals for yourself. I've gone into such a fantastic season. I am loving this season of the golden age. It is such freedom, but it is so inspiring as well. It's like you shift in a higher dimension of intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the things that I'm yet to do are connected to some of the things that I'm enjoying doing now. First of all, I've built a brand over the past 20 or so years.
Yeah.
Solutions. That's been my baby. And for me, it's a legacy brand. And I think what it needs right now is starting to think of succession and continuity.
Yes. Very
That
important.
thing that we omit.
That Africans
forget.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Let's do succession.
yeah,
please.
because that question of what would happen to your business, like it's been ringing in my head, and but it's something that I've been thinking about. So this season is a lot to do with structure, institutionalizing, putting everything on paper, continuity, succession, a whole lot of that energy, and I'm loving it because at the end of the day, I want to see my legacy live on.
Outlive you, yeah?
Yes.
Amazing.
My great-great-grandchildren would be like, we had a great-great-grandmother called Coach Mary. Yeah. That kind of energy. There are books to be written.
There are books to be written.
Yes. I'm excited. They're already in process. There are books to be written.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are platforms.
I hope Talent House Publishing to be incorporated, because I want to go into I love literature. I love books. You have to do me the honor of publishing.
Of course.
Being your
Talent House will have to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
So that's a lot of this season. There are books to be written. There's a lot of platforms. There are conversations that you're talking about. Like there's so much information. It's a pouring out season.
There is
so much
pouring out season.
Yeah. There is I'm pouring out, and it's just coming, and it's just coming out, and I'm pouring and I'm pouring and pouring, because that's the season I'm in. There's been the research, there's been the setting up, there's been the fine tuning, clarity on that. This is the season for pouring out.
I love it.
It is such a fantastic season because as you pour out, it just gets more and more and more. I don't know how that happens, but that's just what it is. Yeah. So this is a good season, and a couple of years from now, I want to just be doing the things that I only need to do. So it will even reduce. That's why I think for me,
that's why succession is important.
It's very, very important. There are things that I'm totally letting go of, totally. And it's a bit scary. Because remember, it's comfort. It's billing, it's client, it's money.
Yeah.
But in the golden age, it's never about money. It's about humanity and the gift that you have. There's so many people who need to get certain types of messages. So even the different platforms and the different conversations, podcasts, books, and so on, all those things become important because it ceases, being about you. And it ceases being about, it begins to matter to humanity. And I think for me, that is what I'm getting from this golden age.
I love it.
It's really, really like
I'm
it's
looking forward to it just being about humanity and not about money because me, I like money.
We all like money. We all like money. That's what I'm saying. It's not easy because one foot is saying, you need to let go of this because your focus now needs to be on this.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but so where is the money going to come from?
Who's paying for this pouring?
I'm trusting the universe. I'm trusting God on this.
I wish you nothing but abundance. I know you get there because I'm very excited for your new season and I look forward. I mean, I've been a part of your journey now actively for almost 15 years, and I look forward to the next so many years when we make the books happen, when we make the podcast happen, when we make, humanity, thrive, and hopefully they pay us for it. But like, yes, let's do it. So we're nearing the end of the podcast
Already?
Can you imagine?
So am I coming again? Because there are a lot
You
of
have
things
to
that we
come
haven't
again.
talked about.
There's so much. You see, there's so much. There's so much. This is why when you give me feedback about time, I'm like, there's so much. But anyway, so how we like to end this podcast, I'm sure you've seen a couple of episodes. So this used to be a surprise, but it's not really a surprise anymore. We like to just like honor the interviewer in Chipo by throwing this question back to the interviewee. I've had my lesson being interviewed by a coach, and we'll see how it goes today. But we normally give 3 questions.
Okay.
So we'll throw it back to you with Coach Mary. Any questions for me?
I got so many questions.
But we're going to.
We're only
do
taking
3.
3.
We'll see. Let's flow. Let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm interested. I mean, I chair Talent House.
Yes.
And Talent House is something that gives me life. It's like a vibe. There's
Talent House is a vibe.
There's an energy. There's a
Yeah.
young energy that I feed from that I love about Talent House. I like your team.
Yes.
I like how you show up. I like how you put it all together. And I'm just like, wow, the energy and everything.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, when are we getting the other parts of Talent House developed? You've just talked about, because I know Talent House, I mean, this is backdoor information, obviously, because I know the business. Right now, you're working on one leg of the business.
Yeah.
But where are we with the other 2, 3 legs?
They're work in progress, but obviously not so easy because, as you know, right now, I still work a full-time job, which which I really enjoy, which I'm committed to, and I hope in the next couple of years I get the opportunity to fully transition and start to build the different parts of Talent House. But yeah, Talent House is a dream. It's a vibe. I love my team. I love where we came from. I love where we are today. And I look forward to the amazing things that we're going to do, especially with people like you, especially with just elevating talent. I'm very excited about that. So this is I feel like this is one of the things that we're doing with Talent House, that my busy schedule will allow. So the podcast has been step 1. So we'll keep building on that. But it's going to happen.
Yay.
It's going to happen. And thank you for being our board chair. You're amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I love the vibe.
Yeah.
It keeps me young.
Even then, they also keep me young. So it's a trickle effect.
It's a trickle effect.
Yeah.
It's fantastic team.
Yeah. Thank you.
Chipo.
Yes.
Where do you, 20 years from now, what does that look like?
20 years from now, in 20 years, I'm 56. Oh, 56-year-old Chipo Chedu is fabulous.
Rich auntie vibes.
She's fabulous. She just got off her yacht in Saint-Tropez. Of course, there's the frivolous stuff. Not so frivolous. It's going to be an amazing life. But 56-year-old Chipo, I think for me, what will be very important about that time is this sense of, ease. I now fantasize about ease and just being comfortable in my skin. And I know, to an extent I am, but I still think there's more. I still think there's more coming, that I just have I'm almost this present, floaty, still around human being. I'm grounded, but I also just seem like I just float because I'm just at ease. So at that age, I'd love to be at ease within myself. I'd love to be at ease within my family. Obviously have a happy, thriving family. And I think at 56, as much as I started off with talking about the yacht in Saint-Tropez, I feel like what would matter for me is a happy, healthy family. This is just my immediate family, and my extended family will be a big deal. A business that has had great impact on humanity. as well will be really important. And I think at 56, I would like to do more influencing at not just a country level, but like a global level. I would like to be and not like I make TikToks, no, but like influencing things that matter, you know, policy around, education, women, just like influencing things that for me matter to me. So yeah, 56-year-old Chipo can like make a call and make stuff happen because she's so boss, but at the same time does it with so much ease.
Love it.
Yeah, so I'm excited to meet her.
I love
think
it.
she'll be amazing.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Last question.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna be a bit like everybody else. What do you want to be remembered for? This is somebody reading out.
My eulogy?
Yes, when you've gained your angel wings.
When I'm up there partying with Jesus. Because I feel like Jesus and I have a good time. I
get on like
have a
house on
sense
fire.
of I feel like him and me are homies. More homies than like I know other people say they're his homie, but me I'm his.
Yeah, like
Yeah. What would I like to be remembered for? I think I think I would love people to remember me for the fact that I saw them. I saw what they were good at. I saw their gifts, and I played a hand in helping them realize their gift and start to live out of that. And I would love it if people just remembered me as the person that told them this thing that you're doing where you're wasting your time trying to be someone else and trying to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. That's bullshit. Like, throw it away and just start to live as yourself. And when they start to live as themselves, I want them to thrive. I want them to be happy. I want them to make money. I want them to, just live their best life. So if I can be a tiny, and majority of the work will be done by them, obviously, but if I can just create a tiny spark, and that's the story, and I would love for it to be consistent.
Okay.
Obviously you can't please everyone. Not everyone can like you, but the people that come to my funeral, I would love them to remember like that was that little spark I did, like I created a thing that made them go off and live their best lives. That would be a fantastic legacy.
And I'm sure it will come to pass.
They
will remember you for that.
I would love that.
Because even now,
I will have one eye open.
Feedback every single day about how you connected this person, how you found this person their first job, and there's always that feedback that you're getting from people. So I've got no doubt that.
And it's stuff that I love to do.
Yeah.
It's stuff that I do with so much ease. It'll be nice to remember for the stuff that I love doing.
Yeah, that's
Quote
great.
me.
For the stuff that you love doing.
It would be nice to be remembered for the stuff that I love doing.
That's great.
That would be an amazing legacy.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask you the 3
questions. Thank you. I know I say I struggle in this on this podcast to keep it short and to not go into certain places, but there were so many places where this conversation would have gone, and I'm proud of myself today.
We're proud of ourselves, including me,
for not taking it to all these places.
Yeah.
We
could have taken it places.
It had so much potential.
We should have another opportunity to take it places.
Yeah, we should go. We should do it. We should do topics, but you should also start your own.
No, we're starting our own because we're gonna do the whole table conversation thing.
We should do that. That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
But thank you, Coach Mary.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bamulenga. Great Mule, Bamulenga.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun, and I look forward to the next time you're on the Talent Whisperer, or when I come and join you on your podcast. That'll be so cool.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a fantastic platform. I feel very honored to have been invited and to have shared some of my story. And I am just like, go Chipo, Talent Whisperer. I love it.
Thanks, sis. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm buzzing off of this episode. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like, you subscribe, and you rate or review. And thank you once again, Coach Mary, for joining us today. This was so much fun. All right. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.